Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to improve our math skill. Today is our day number 17. Day number 17. There was a word that we learned yesterday, and the word was mnemonic. I just happened to erase it just now inadvertently. The word is mnemonic, and I haven't had a chance to add it in my list of the words that we want to cover, so I put it back again. Today is our day number 17. Let's take a look at it. Today we have a geometry problem, and here's the problem. We are given a parallelogram we are told that this is 100 degrees. P, Q, R and S. We are told that this is 10, this is 5, and we are told that P, Q, R, S is a parallelogram. And the quantities that we are asked to compare, here is our column A, column B. Area of PQRS versus 50. What I want you to do at this point is pause the video, as I always remind you, pause the video right now. As soon as I finish setting up the problem, make a habit of pausing the video right away. Solve the problem yourself, and when you have the answer, when you're done doing whatever it is that you want to do, at that point resume the video and then compare the work that you did yourself with the work that we're going to do together. Alright, so I'm going to give you a chance to pause it for, get out of the video. Alright, so what do we do? Well, this is 5 and this is 10. The area of a parallelogram, is simply base times height, and base is 5 and the height is 10, gives us 50. Gives us 50, which is same as this one here. Therefore the two quantities are equal, and the answer is C. If this is what you came up with, if this is the answer that you came up with, alas, this answer is wrong. The height is not 10. This 10 does not represent the height. First of all, let's talk about this here, base times height. Why is the area of the parallelogram base times height? Well, this formula that you see here, base times height, is the formula to figure out the area of a rectangle. It's the same formula as the formula for rectangle, but it is incognito. Let's see, what was the day when we learned the word incognito? For those of you who have been watching this right now, watching this for a while now, you would probably know this word already because I've used it many a times. Day number 42. Day number 42. If you want to learn this word properly, just type in Keshwani Prep -vocab -day 42, and you will learn this word incognito. Incognito simply means in disguise. This formula for the area of a parallelogram is the same formula as the formula that you would have for a rectangle. I'm going to show it to you. For a rectangle, if your rectangle looks like this, we say length times width. Well, when one is talking about a rectangle, the convention is that, well, that's another word, convention. Convention means tradition. Convention means tradition. Something, the way of doing things. The convention is that when one is talking about a rectangle, one speaks in terms of length and width. One speaks in terms of length and width. Day number 46. If you want to learn this word convention, it just means tradition. Just type in day 46 and you will see it. So the convention is that when you're talking about a rectangle, one speaks in terms of length and width. But when one talks about a parallelogram, one is to speak in terms of base and height, but it's the same thing. Watch this. This is your base. And this is your height. Now what does height mean? Height means exactly what it says. Height means you go from the lowest point here, the base. You go from your base and ask yourself, from this base, what is the highest point? The highest point from the base, that distance is called the height. The only difference is that when you're talking about a rectangle, you don't have to worry about what height is, because height is whatever this length of this length is, because it's sitting straight up. Here, this 10 is not the height. The height here would be this. This 10 from R to S is 10. But the height of this parallelogram would be a distance. Let me put it on a different marker, different color, so we can see it. You take the highest point in the picture. You take the highest point in the picture and you ask yourself, how high is this point from the base? And as you can clearly see, this distance from R to, let's call it R to B for base, this distance from R to B is shorter distance than this distance because it's sitting at an angle. Obviously, if you put a 10-foot ladder at an angle, the height from the bottom of the floor to where the ladder ends is going to be less than 10 feet because it's sitting at an angle. The same logic applies here. If we are told the distance from R to S is 10, then this distance R to B, whatever it is, has to be less than 10. The only problem is that we do not know what it is. We are not told that, and there is no way to figure out what it is. There is no way to figure out this height R to B. So for those people who realize that this is not the distance, this is not the height, they realize that 10 is not the height is this distance from R to B. For those people, they sit there and say, well, there is no way, let me erase this part here. They realize that the area of PQR is base times height, and they realize that the base is 5. The base is 5, but the height is unknown, and there is no way to figure out the height. So they sit there and say, well, since I do not know the height, there is no way we can figure out the area of this parallelogram. And they are correct. There is no way to figure out the area of the parallelogram, and therefore they end up saying, well, the answer is D because we cannot figure out the area of the parallelogram. What they are missing here is the fact that here we are not being asked what is the area of the parallelogram. That is not the question here. The question here is, does the area of the parallelogram equal to 50, or is the area of the parallelogram less than 50, or is the area of the parallelogram more than 50? That's all we have to say here. We are not being asked what it is, we are simply being asked how does it compare to 50. And to which the answer is, this height, whatever it is, since this distance from R to S is 10, therefore this distance from R to B, whatever it is, has to be less than 10. This distance has to be less than 10. This is how we write it, 10 with a negative sign. So the area of the parallelogram is base times height, and height is less than 10. We know that for a fact. We know that for a fact because we are told that this is 10. So if we know that for a fact, then something less than 10 times 5 would have to be something less than 50. So here, the answer is not D. This answer is also wrong. The area of the parallelogram is something less than 50. The area of the parallelogram is 5 times something less than 10, which is something less than 50, and something less than 50, this is something less than 50, right here. Something less than 50 would have to be smaller than 50. That's all. This area, whatever it is less than 50. And therefore, the answer is B. The answer to this problem is B as in boy. Turns out that the final answer was not C, final answer was not D, the answer is B. The answer choice C is picked by those people who in their haste end up thinking that this is the height of the parallelogram. It is not. Then there is a second category of students who are a little bit higher level, and they are quick enough to realize that is not the height is this. But then they go on to reason, by saying that since we do not know height, we cannot figure out the area of the parallelogram. And they are correct, they are 100% correct in saying that we cannot figure out, we cannot calculate, we cannot evaluate the area of the parallelogram. What they don't understand is that in this question, these questions are called quantitative comparison, where they give you two quantities in the two column, and your job is to simply compare the two quantities. And even if you're taking SAT or the GMAT, where these kind of problems do not appear, these appear in the GRE, but even if you're preparing for the SAT and the GMAT, it does not matter to practice this thing just to exercise your brain, just to get your gray matter going, just to acquaint yourself with the mathematical concepts, and it does not hurt to do some thinking. Just don't be so test driven by saying, well, this particular type of question does not appear. Yes, this particular type of question does not appear on the SAT. This particular type of question does not appear on a GMAT, but the math that is behind this question does appear in all of these three exams. Do you understand? So where was I going with this? Anyway, the final answer. So those people who sit there and say, oh, there is no way we can figure out the area of the parallelogram, well, they are correct. There is no way to figure out the area of the parallelogram, but that is not what this question is asking. This question is not asking you what is the area of the parallelogram. This question is asking you, how does the area of the parallelogram compare to 50? Is it more than 50? Is it less than 50? Or is it equal to 50? Turns out that it is, whatever it is less than 50. And therefore, something less than 50 versus 50, the answer, this quantity 50 is bigger, the answer is B. That's all. I hope you found it helpful. If you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring for SAT, GRE or GMAT or TOEFL even, you can go to any of these website addresses that you see there and send me an email, or you can simply go to keshwaniprep.com and send me an email from there. Alright? Thanks.